Okay. 皆さん、こんにちは。
今日は僕たちがなぜ日本大好きなのか話します。We're back, everyone. So I just want to start by saying thank you, everyone who watched the first video. I mean, we had such an amazing feedback from it.
Yeah.
Some amazing suggestions, some really good ideas for what to make videos about, and also some great places to visit in Japan. So
yeah.
We want to come back next year. We want to make more videos in Japan. So we're going to make a bit of a travel list of places to see while we're there. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, one thing we noticed from our first video is that there's a lot of people looking to learn English, and there's quite a few suggestions of adding English subtitles to our videos so that you can follow what we're saying in English with English words.
Yeah, so if you go back and watch our first video again, that'll have English subtitles now if you want to read along and practice your English with us, and we'll put them on this video as well. So what we want to talk about today is some of the reasons that we really love Japan. So we put together a list of 6 reasons why we really love the country, and we want to share them with you today.
So, the first thing that I noticed when I went to Japan was how friendly the people are. It started before we'd even landed in Japan, didn't it, with the 2 ladies on the flight?
We actually got our tickets separate from each other, so we didn't sit next to each other on the flight, but we both sat next to these different Japanese ladies. They didn't know each other either. They claimed they didn't know English very well, but they were so helpful. For about 6 hours they were talking to us about places to go and visit in Tokyo, Kyoto, Nara, Osaka. It was just an amazing first impression, certainly for you because that was your first time travelling to Japan.
Yeah, it was incredible. We had a list, temples, shrines, restaurants, so many different things that we need to go and see. Would we have gone to Gaijin in Nara if...
Maybe not.
And that was one of the most impressive things for me. Nara and Kinkakuji in Kyoto, for me, were the 2 most impressive things. So that lady told me to go there. Thank you very much if you're watching. I told you to watch out for Leicester City Football Club. I hope you did, because 2 years later, we won the Premier League. Hopefully she enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed Gaijin.
Exactly. And even when we got off the flight, I mean, our first impressions of people actually in the city of Tokyo were so positive.
Yeah, we were on the Tokyo Metro. We were trying to find our apartment, which was near Yoyogi Hachiman. We were on a line and we didn't know which line to get, and we were tired. We'd been up a long time.
Nearly 20 hours probably.
We'd been up nearly a whole day. We were a little bit lost. In the train station, we walked in and there was a gentleman stood in front of us. He turned around and looked at us, and what did he say, Nick?
Asked us if we needed any help, I think.
Yeah, do you guys need some help?
And then he proceeded to not only tell us where we needed to go, but actually walk us. He walked with us for about 10 minutes.
About longer than that, I think about 15, 20 minutes.
15 minutes, but he didn't need to do that. He could have just told us which direction to go, and that would have been already super kind.
Yeah.
The fact that this guy took 15 minutes out of his day to walk with us was absolutely staggering. That would never happen in any other country I've been to.
No,
not just in England, but I would never expect that in Europe or America even.
Probably not. But he looked about 60 years old. And we started talking, we were walking and he was asking us questions. And when he said, how old are you? We said 24. And he said, oh, you're younger than my son. And I was like, okay, how old is your son? And he said 50. And I was like, oh my God. Sir, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? And he said 85. And I just thought, an 85-year-old man has just walked us 20 minutes across Tokyo, taken us to the right station on the right line, told us which way to go, put our money into the machine to make sure we had the right money in there and the right ticket, and they showed us the right platform as well. It was absolutely amazing. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if to shake the man's hand. I just ended up giving him a hug because I just thought, what a legend.
It was amazing. I mean, that's a theme that we've always noticed whenever we've been to Japan, whenever I've been to Japan as well, certainly.
Yeah.
Everyone's just so kind and helpful, and I really think that radiates throughout the whole country.
We hadn't even reached our apartment and I was already in love with the country and the people. I mean, after travelling for so long, being shown in the right direction and having a list longer than my arm of places that I needed to go, it's just a crazy experience.
Could not have been a better start.
Yeah, great start to the holiday.
And on top of that, when we're flying into Tokyo, we also got an amazing view of Fuji, which leads us on to the second point, I think, really. One of the most wonderful things I find about Japan is its culture and its history.
Yes.
I think Fuji is kind of symbolic of all of that.
Yeah.
That is the typical picture of Japan, isn't it?
Yes. There is a lot of Japanese art and culture that just almost worships Fuji.
Yeah, all the Hokusai pictures, like the Great Wave of Kanagawa and all that whole series of Fuji.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so symbolic of the country and so popular worldwide, everyone knows those images.
Yeah.
And not just that, but the juxtaposition between traditional and modern Japan.
Yeah. I love that when we went to Ginza to go to the Kabuki. It's something we really wanted to do. And it was a really beautiful old building.
Well, I think it's a new building, actually.
Is it?
It's a new building.
It's a new building.
Built
but
in the style of...
very traditional Japanese Japanese architecture. It was just in the shadow of all of these skyscrapers and stuff. I think that's fantastic.
Like one either side, one behind it.
Having literally the old surrounded by the new, and it's kind of normal. I love it.
There's also areas that are just so well preserved that really maintain their rich history. Like Gion in Kyoto has a really rich history to it, and it's like embraces that.
Yeah. So you're talking about like the older kind of areas, the more traditional places. It's great to visit. But what I loved about our first holiday was we had that with Kyoto, and then we also had cooler and newer places with Osaka, like Dotonbori, and we had Akihabara in Tokyo, where it's just mental. It's just crazy. It's just a whole street full of buildings that are just huge and lit up, and it's also colourful and a little bit alien to us because I can't read hiragana or katakana or kanji. So for me, it's one of the few places in the world that I've been to where you look at a building and I have no idea what it is.
Even when you come out of like Shibuya Station, the first appearance out of there is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like Times Square.
Times Square, but on steroids.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
It's Piccadilly Circus times 100. It's funny you say that because I went to New York in 2 years later. I went into New York in 2016 with my family. So the first night, got rid of the luggage, went to Times Square, and I was stood there thinking, this is cute.
Yeah.
Is this it? It probably is amazing if you haven't been to Dotonbori, if you haven't been to Shinsekai, if you haven't been to, to Akihabara. It maybe is amazing, but for me, it just doesn't compare.
Well, especially when
I've been spoiled.
And when New York only has Times Square that's like that.
Yeah.
Japan, well certainly Tokyo has areas like that all over the city.
Yeah.
Like Shinjuku, Shibuya, Akihabara, they're all like full of high-rise neon buildings like Blade Runner.
Yeah, I mean there's Godzilla coming out of the cinema.
Yeah.
I mean it's crazy, it's funny though, I love it. Also, one of the things that we haven't done that's still on my list is do something like the onsen.
I've done onsen.
You've done onsen, I've not done onsen yet. I'd love to do Japanese onsen. And I would also love something like a day of walking around with like a yukata.
Yeah, it'd be great if we had like a festival to go to.
Yeah, it seems like such a lovely thing to do and a tradition that has been kept so well for so long. Like sumo wrestling has been preserved and it carries on. We kind of lose traditions over here a little bit. It gets a little bit diluted and watered down and it just disappears.
Yeah.
In Japan, they're so good at keeping the tradition alive.
Well, it's not rare to see like groups of girls, certainly in the summer, walking around in yukata, and I think that's like really like.
We've seen it quite a lot.
It's really beautiful, I think.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful like dress wear that you just don't see over here. So another reason that we really love Japan, I mean, it's such an important thing when I visit, is to try all the different food that I can. We really love Japanese food, and always the first thing that I do when I get to Japan is go for yakiniku. I absolutely love it. I mean, there's so many dishes I love in Japan, but I can eat yakiniku every day. It's so good. But I mean, not just that, I mean, everything from ramen, gyudon, curry rice,
Karaage chicken.
Karaage, even
chicken,
just
nama chicken.
Even just all the food you get in an izakaya. I mean, it's absolutely like wonderful and like leagues ahead of the Japanese food that you get in England.
Yeah, oh yeah, so much.
Yeah, because like the Japanese restaurants that you get in England don't really taste authentic. I mean, some of them are still okay.
Yeah.
But when you try the food in Japan, you realise that it's just a really rough approximation of the same food.
There's one or two places in Leicester that are good.
Yeah, there's some that are okay.
One of the biggest differences for me between our 2014 trip and our 2018 trip was the food, because we had Chiaki with us. So she knew what she was doing, she knew where she was going, she knew what she was ordering. When we went in 2014, we were a little bit shy. We ate a lot of Yoshinoya, a lot of Sukiya. The food, definitely this trip. Second trip was a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
We got a lot more authentic Japanese food, I think.
Yeah, Japanese food is just absolutely awesome.
Yakiniku was definitely a revelation.
Yeah, I would keep going back to Japan just for food, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and the sushi in Tsukiji as well was awesome. That was an experience.
Yeah, we went to Tsukiji Fish Market just the week it was closing. And I don't know if the restaurants are still there, maybe they are, or maybe they moved to the new market.
I have no idea, we'll have to find out.
Yeah, but we went to one of the restaurants around there and it was absolutely phenomenal. It wasn't even that expensive, was it?
Not really.
It was really quite reasonable, but the fish was so fresh.
It was a real experience. Watching them make it in front of you was like an art.
Yeah.
When the guy was putting the, he was doing some prawn, wasn't he? He was doing like a prawn sushi for somebody else.
Yeah.
And he was like, the head was going on there and the whole body, it was just art.
All their chefs are so meticulous.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned to you the other day, everyone dedicates themselves to like one dish.
Yeah.
Like a restaurant serves a certain different dish.
You specialise in that one thing,
Yeah,
and you make it as good as you possibly can.
Yeah.
Japan always feels very safe when you're walking around. You never feel threatened, you never feel intimidated, you never feel like something's going to happen.
And you don't feel like you could accidentally walk into a bad area. A lot of like your Western cities have areas that you just don't go into.
Yeah,
if you have the knowledge, don't go into. But like in Tokyo, you never feel like you're going to end up anywhere that's going to be bad for you.
No, you don't feel like you're going to get robbed at any point.
But even like just the smaller things, I mean, like even if you go to a Starbucks, it's not rare just to see a phone left on a table. Like someone will just leave their phone on a table, walk away and order their drinks, and not worry about it. And that will just, I don't think you'd necessarily lose your phone immediately in Europe, but I think no one would dare do that. But
in Japan, you run the risk of it being handed in somewhere.
Yeah.
In England, you run the risk of not seeing it ever again.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's like just the safety in Japan, safety of your personal health and also your belongings.
Yeah.
It couldn't be higher compared to the rest of the world.
So as a tourist, you're not likely to get into trouble.
No.
Like you do other places.
Yeah.
Capital cities, especially across Europe, there are pickpockets walking around and stuff. And as a tourist in Japan, you're not likely to get into trouble unless you go either looking for it or you end up in a bit of a dodgy bar.
I think the only way you're really going to get in trouble is if you're naive enough to follow one of these people into their establishment.
Yeah.
So another thing that we really love about Japan, I think anyone who's ever been there would agree, is how efficient everything is. I mean, that is evident as soon as you land in the country. So you land in Tokyo Haneda and you see the efficiency of all the trains going into the city. They're never late, they're never early. This is always on time. The service culture of Japan's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I remember when we were in Kyoto and we were trying to get the Shinkansen back to Tokyo, and we were wondering which train do we get, because in the UK there'll be one train every 15 minutes, one train every 20 minutes to the capital. And I remember looking up at the screen and thinking, oh my god, there's a train every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes! And the trains are huge.
Yeah, transport is amazing.
Yeah.
But like the service culture in like restaurants, like the omotenashi I think it's called in Japan, just how well you are treated in a restaurant is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And another thing that I love, that you don't have to tip in Japan. I love that a Japanese establishment will believe that their service is worth the price that you're paying for it, and like that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories of like waiters running after customers with money because they don't want to take it or hand it back, and I think that's like such a good culture, and it's a shame that we've not got that similar approach to it.
Yeah, we're going the other way.
Yeah.
We're going more towards American culture where it's tipping and stuff like that, and it isn't really necessary. In the UK, people who work in the service industry, in restaurants, in hotels, they get paid a living wage, whereas in America, they work pretty much for tips. Another thing we love about Japan is just how clean it is. There's no bins anywhere to be seen, but even as a Gaijin, as an outsider, you start thinking or you start behaving a little bit more Japanese. I wouldn't have dreamt of dropping any litter in Tokyo.
Yeah.
I would feel terrible if I dropped something. If something flew out of my pocket in the wind,
You chase
I'd
after
probably chase it down the street. Everybody does their bit to look after it. There's just no rubbish anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's even noticeable after a night out.
Yeah.
So even if like a place like Shibuya or Shinjuku gets messy on a night out and stuff around, you can see people in the morning at like 5 o'clock walking around with plastic bags, picking up the rubbish. And like,
it is everybody's space, so you look after it.
Yeah, you look at the World Cup. I mean, Japan got such a good reputation in the World Cup for going around the stadium afterwards and cleaning everything up.
Yeah.
I mean, that was worldwide coverage, and I think that's such a good reputation to have. It extends to personal hygiene as well. The toilets in Japan are just like
I love the toilets.
absolutely amazing.
People at work laugh at me when I talk about the toilets in Japan. They're like, oh, what's the most amazing thing about Japan? I was like, do you know what? I love the toilets.
Toilets and food.
If I could have a Japanese toilet in my house, I'll be so happy.
Yeah, if Toto are watching this
and
they want to sponsor,
absolutely. I will happily work for you for a Japanese toilet. That is all I ask. That is my fee. I'm always amazed of Tokyo. When we stayed in Yoyogi Hachima, it was a little side street, 2-minute walk from the station, and you stood there in a little suburban street, and it's so quiet, there's trees. You could have been in a little town in the middle of nowhere, but you're not, you're in the middle of Tokyo. That's always the thing that amazes me about Tokyo. London's a more noisy city, and Tokyo's so quiet considering what it is. It's a big capital city, and yet it's still quite tranquil.
Anywhere in the city. I mean, even if you're in the more like busy areas, like Shibuya, you don't get much like car pollution, noise pollution outside of like pachinko parlours and you know, the attractions.
Mate, the noisiest thing you have in Tokyo is a Don Quixote at 3 AM. Walking in there trying to get our torches for Fuji, like,
Yeah, it's a loud place.
It's bright, it's loud, it's like, oh my god, I just want to go to sleep, I want to go to bed.
Don Quixote and pachinko parks.
Giving me a headache. There's so many things that we love about Japan that the video would be too long. So they're the 6 main things we love about Japan.
Yeah, and if there's anywhere you've been where you feel the same way, just let us know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you've got any feedback, just let us know in the comment section.
We've been 2 Gaijin, and we'll see you again soon.
Matane.